everyone, welcome back to the Speaking Out Loud channel. I hope you guys are all having a wonderful day. And today we're gonna go over the top 5 myths of human trafficking, because I talk specifically about human trafficking to raise awareness and to make it more of a Gen Z, Gen Alpha issue that we can solve, because millions are being sold in the entire world, and I am a full believer that no one should be for sale. And my bangs really don't like me today, so oh well. We're just gonna jump right into it. Please like and subscribe and share with others, because I would love to spread awareness to the entire world and we can all just hyper focus on human trafficking. That would be amazing. But let's just jump right into it. So the number one thing that will always get wrong, like the myth that lingers around the world, is that people always think it's a foreign issue. And if you've been sticking around, you already know that we've covered this before about people thinking that it's a foreign issue and it's not exactly in America, or it's only in America because of the borders. Well, the borders is a huge problem with human trafficking, but the thing is that people just think it's just happening in the Spanish countries and it's not happening here, and it's just kind of all made up in our heads and it's just not happening at all, which it's not true. If you guys been sticking around, it's an American issue, as America is the biggest buyer and producer of human trafficking. And if you don't believe me, you can look it up. You can look it up at Operation Underground Railroad. You can just do a simple Google search. You can look at the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. You can look it up at the Child Rescue Coalition. You can just look it up and you will find that, yeah, America is the biggest buyer and it's the biggest producer. And it also has to relate a lot with pornography. Pornography is one of the reasons why it's so mass produced, is because there's millions of consumers of pornography, and to make that money, you need more people to produce this pornography, right? And it also is produced on like the dark web, like these sketchy little websites, mass produced everywhere. So yeah, America is the biggest buyer and it's the biggest producer, but we also are the biggest advocate against human trafficking. So we have this going for us, and I'm not saying this as someone that just hates America. I love America. My grandpa fought for this country. I deeply respect America. It's an amazing country, and the people that hate it, they just don't leave America, right? Because it's so awesome. I'm just saying this as a fact. I'm not saying this as someone who hates America. I am very proud to be an American. So the number 2 most common myth is that people always think it's a creepy man in a white van that goes around and looks at the parks and just kidnaps these kids, throws them in the van, and then takes them to his little torture dungeon with all these fences and the kids can't escape. No. Now that does happen, but you're more likely to be groomed online through social media, through your video games, through people like your online friends and your online lovers that you think they are, but you haven't met in person. You're most likely to be trafficked online now, and it's been more popular online since COVID-19, when everyone transferred over online. That's just been a technique that's been around since COVID-19 and beforehand, but it just like boomed after COVID-19, unfortunately. And you're most likely to be groomed and trafficked by a family member, lover, and friend, actually, and not by someone that you don't know. You're more likely to be trafficked and also assaulted by someone that you know, by a family member, by a friend, and by your lover. And that's just the most common way that people get trafficked. So be very careful, so careful of who you let into your circle, especially if you're an adult that has children, especially as you're a child that's growing up. You need to be very careful about who you let in your circle. Now, not a lot of people are bad, but there is always one bad actor that just ruins it for everybody, and they get in and they just make everything so terrible. So please be careful on who you let into your circle. Now, the most third common myth is that the third most common myth is that everyone thinks that their kid is going to go to them if the kid notices something bad, if they see something online, if someone's talking to them, if something did happen to them. Actually, according to the Child Rescue Coalition, 60% of kids stated that they would not go to their parents if something were to happen to them or if something did happen to them. They would rather deal with it on their lonesome than go to their parents because they think that the parents are going to be mad at them, that they think their parents are going to be so ashamed of them that the parents are just going to take out all their confusion and anger on the kid and not actually on the perpetrator that vandalized your kid, which is very unfortunate. So it's so important that you build a place where your kid feels safe to talk about this, and I highly recommend that you just start talking about this topic and you'll say that you always love your kid if something were to happen. And also the Child Rescue Coalition, they always recommend certain things, and I wrote these all down because I think it is so important. Now a lot of people may be in the comments and say that this is such a huge violation of the kid's privacy and you're just going to further this, but I feel like if you do this in the right manner and you properly explain to your kid why you are doing this and how you're going to do this and you're going to respect their space, I bet it's a lot easier to do this with younger children and slowly build your way up. And I know parenting is really hard. It's very difficult to process this that your kid will further trust you, that they won't have trauma, that they will have deep trust issues with you. But the Child Rescue Coalition and National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, when you are giving your kids a phone, if you are giving your kids a tablet, if you're giving them access online, you need to keep these things in mind. And I bet you can show them this video. You guys can watch this video together and then talk about it and make this more of like a group decision rather than you're the parents and you're gonna listen to what I say and you don't have a choice. It'd be wise that you guys just sit around together and talk about it and just explain it to the kids. Maybe watch this video with the kids so then they get an understanding of where you are coming from, because their best interest is what you have at heart, and they're not parents themselves, so they don't quite understand, and they're young and they're adolescents and they like to defy people that are over them. It's just a common thing. So the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children and the Child Rescue Coalition, when it comes to this being online, because your kids most likely be trafficked, sextorted, and experience CSAM, child sexual abuse material, online on social media through these video games. So it's very important to keep in mind, right? So when you give your kid access to the internet, access to the online world, the world has access to your kid. So it's very important that you know their passwords. So important that you know their passwords. 2, don't let devices into the bedroom. It prevents a lot of bad things from happening. And your kid is not bad, it's just the groomers. They teach these kids in such a sophisticated manner that they have perfected over time that makes the kids more comfortable about doing this, and then they're being forced into it. It usually starts with one simple picture, and sometimes it starts with just one picture that you would think is innocent, but then someone transforms it with AI into a picture that looks like they actually did it, and then they target your kid because they're gonna think, wow, you're not gonna believe this person, you thought they were such an innocent kid, and I actually have this picture of them and I'm gonna post it to your entire school, to your parents, and they're all gonna be so ashamed of you unless you give me money or unless you take actual pictures of yourself, right? Because AI is getting better and it's getting more advanced and it's starting to look more and more realistic. Of course, open dialogue is the third thing that they suggest. Games must have parental control and you're monitoring their online activity. Now, this may seem like a helicopter parent and may make you feel a little bit uncomfortable, but it's really, really important. I would rather your kids be safe than them just being frustrated and angry at you and not being safe, right? And the next thing is never let them friend anyone that you don't specifically know or that you know that they know at school, right? You want them to be friends with people that they actually know in person and not just online digitally. Now, of course, there's a lot of people online that mean well, but there's a lot of bad actors out there that are taking advantage of children that it's just hard not to trust anyone, right? Think before you post. Does it have, like, with your first day of school, does it have your address in the background? Does it have, like, some identifier markers of where you live? Does it, like, show Like, I hate the videos of kids in the bathtub. Like, that is just disgusting. Just don't do that, because a lot of those people, and especially with those videos, a lot of them are saved, and you know why they're saved? Because there's a lot of sickos out there. Just think before you post things like that. And then they highly suggest weekly device check. That's like their last, like, very important thing, is having weekly device check. So you can, like, it's an easier way to monitor your kids' activity and know what they're doing, know what they're saying, what is being said to them, like checking their chats, which I know it just feels a lot like a violation, but it's so important that you do this, because it's best to keep your kids safe. It's so important to keep your kids safe. And another thing is that when people think that when survivors are found, they can enter society normally after experiencing such horrible things happening to them, especially since if they were trafficked as a child, that's a lot of years that the trafficker had on them, and they are so good at grooming the kid. That's just hardwired into their brain. And even as adults, there's just a lot of manipulation. There's a lot of emotional, physical, spiritual abuse that they experience that is absolutely horrifying to them, and it's hard for them to transfer back into society. And there are housing that experts specialize into trafficking victims, trafficking survivors. But a lot of them, they leave to go back into that kind of world because that's just all they know, right? Especially if you were trafficked at such a young age. It's very overwhelming, and it's just that mentality is so stuck on them. So all of the grooming survivors, through the grooming process, it's very difficult for them to go back into normal society like it is for war veterans. Like, it's a very hard process for the kids and the adults to go back into normal society, and that's what I'm trying to explain. It takes a long time for these victims, and a lot of love and a lot of care for them to feel more comfortable entering back into society. And another very frustrating thing that a lot of people think is that a lot of the prostitutes are there willingly. And I'm here to say no. The vast majority of people that are prostitutes, that are in the sex industry, they are not there willingly. The vast majority of them, like, it's, if you had a one-on-one conversation with the people that you have through the screen and the people that you're meeting on the streets and that you're scheduling with them online, if you actually sat down and talked to them, the vast majority of them would say either they have a pimp being trafficked through that pimp, or this is the only choice I have. A lot of them are not there willingly. The vast majority of them are not. The vast majority of them are trafficked, and even more so minors, because now this is very disgusting statistic, but the highest demand are 13-year-old girls. So a lot of the prostitutes, a lot of what you're seeing online or interacting, they're minors, 13 and up. A lot of them are minors, but they just look so adult just with the makeup that if you aren't paying attention, especially if you don't have kids of your own, you think that they're adults, and they act like adults because they had to mature so quickly in that industry, or they're gonna experience a lot of abuse. Now, the bonus myth that I have for you guys, now, if you stick around, this is going to be awesome for you guys, because the bonus myth that a lot of people think is that it's only women and girls that are trafficked. And I'm here to tell you that is not true. There are studies coming out that show half of the trafficking victims are male, particularly boys. And you think of an adult man, if they traffic these boys young enough, they're going to have someone loyal to them. They're gonna have someone that truly believes that they cannot escape no matter what they do, especially if it's labor trafficking, which a lot of people, I guess another bonus is that people think that all trafficking is sex trafficking. No, there's also labor trafficking, and I did state in one of my videos that I would go over labor trafficking and what it is and everything all about it, and I will. It's just gonna probably take me a minute to get around there because I have so many video ideas, because I specifically focus on sex trafficking rather than labor trafficking. So I bet a lot of what I'm going to say is going to be pretty novice. So I want to be more of an expert for you guys so you know more specifically about labor trafficking. And you'll never catch me shopping on Shein at all. I guess people are really determined for cheap prices, but at the expense of cheap labor, and just a lot of people are being trafficked in China, which is very, very, very unfortunate, and my skin crawls every time someone says they purchase stuff on Shein. Please don't do that. Please don't. Please don't. Especially if a lot of them are minors. Just don't do that. Anyways, so a lot of the trafficking victims are male, actually, particularly boys, and especially if they have these kids, if they kidnap them. A lot of kids, not like a whole lot, but there is a pretty high percentage of kids that were trafficked at birth. And I'm seeing this on TikTok that's becoming more and more popular, and I've known about it before it became popular, is these egg farms, right? And they're more particularly in Africa, but I don't want to paint Africa in such a bad light because they are becoming more civilized, and there's a lot of civilized countries within Africa. Africa's a continent, by the way. It's not a country, it's a continent, and there's tons of countries in the continent Africa. So there's a lot of countries in Africa that are very civilized, and there's some of them that are slowly making their way up, right? Right. So there's a lot of egg farms in Africa, and if you don't know what egg farms are, I'll give you a brief description. So egg farms is so the particular style that they do it in Africa, and if you guys want more details, I highly recommend the Marisol Nichols podcast, which is really sad because they haven't posted in a while, and I hope she's okay. I bet she's doing underground work because she does that sometimes. But anyways, back to the story. So the way that they most specifically do it in Africa is that they would hit these women on the back of their head and make them paralyzed, right? Paralyzed from the chin down or the waist down, so it's very hard for them to escape. Then they would sexually assault them and get them pregnant, and then they would wait for the baby to be carried to term, and then the baby is being born, and then they sell these kids for sex trafficking, for a lot of witchy voodoo stuff, organ trafficking. I guess it's really, really expensive to have kids' organs, which is really, really weird. Or some of these women, if they can't get pregnant, they'll sell their stuff, their organs and stuff. And I kind of want to get into organ trafficking, but I can handle everything that involves human trafficking, sex trafficking, labor trafficking. But organ trafficking, I don't know why, but that legit makes me want to puke. Literally, I can handle a lot of stuff. I can handle a lot of stuff that I can hear. I can handle a lot of stuff that I have seen, and I've seen dead bodies. But organ trafficking, I don't know why, but that is so hard for me to watch and to see and to hear, especially with these egg farms where they raise these kids, they wait for them to be born, and then they sell them straight out of the womb. When I say that a lot of kids don't know what freedom is like, I am literally meaning it, and I know that may be hard for some of you to hear, but there's a lot of kids that are sold straight out of the womb into sex trafficking or labor trafficking, and they think true-heartedly that that's what life is like, that there is no other way around life, that that's just what it's like, and that breaks my heart into so many pieces. And this is why I get so frustrated that human trafficking is just the bottom of what society is concerned about. There is more slaves today than there was even when it was illegal. And I don't know why it is so hard for us as a society to just accept that and to stop pushing it down and to address this full-heartedly. I know there's a lot of people right now concerned about war, but these kids and these women and these young boys, they're at war every single day against their traffickers. And as a society, especially as Americans, we believe that everyone is born free. We believe that everyone is born free and they have the right to pursue happiness. But there are tons and tons of Americans and other people in the other countries that prevent these kids to know what freedom is like, to pursue happiness. And that makes me so angered. And I hate that people, they say, I just can't talk about it because it's so sad. And I know it's sad. But we got to learn. We have to learn so we can make this world a better place, so we can help these kids that are truly suffering. And I know I have to be patient, and I know I just have to be patient, but it's really frustrating for me to be patient because I know all these things and I know all that's happening, but I'm just waiting for the rest of the world to catch up. And that's why I'm doing this. I'm just going on to a rant now. But so a lot of like in the egg farms, and even, in America, like a lot of kids go missing at parking lots, especially infants, because the mom's like unloading, or the dad's unloading groceries into the car, and they turn around and they see their kid is taken from their car seat or taken from the car. And there's cases just as a couple months old of these kids being victimized. Like, what the flip do you see in an infant? That's my first question. What the flip do you see in an infant? But they raise these kids ever since infancy, so even in America, they true-heartedly become loyal to this cause because that's just all they know. That is just all these kids know. They don't know anything else. That's why I'm saying earlier that it's hard for a lot of these trafficking victims, especially the younger that they are, the more malleable they are to these, the more malleable that they are, the less likely they are to escape, the less likely they are to cause issues, because that's just all they know. And that's why there's more and more studies coming out that victims, these survivors and these victims still currently are, particularly, they believe perhaps half are males, like particularly young boys, and they believe it could be more than half or just about the same. They're thinking it's about half, or it is half, but a lot of males that are assaulted, they're less likely to come forward, right? It's even hard for women to come forward because they believe that a lot of people won't believe them, and it's even more so for guys, because very sickeningly, even though the boys that were victimized at a young age, they finally come forward, and a lot of the guys, they don't take it serious. They're like, oh, I bet you like that. Oh, I bet I knew you like the older ladies. Like, a lot of people, they don't think that women are traffickers. I know vast majority of the traffickers are males, but there's a lot of female traffickers and females that buy these young boys and these young girls, particularly the boys. That's why they kidnap the boys, is because there's also creepy guys that want to hurt little boys, and also there's creepy women that want to hurt these little boys. Like, it's a thing. Very unfortunately, it's a thing. Rambling at this point, but that's the bonus myth that the vast majority of people think that it's just a women issue, and I truly enjoy the sound of freedom of it coming out, because when I talk about human trafficking, the people, they instantly think about the movie that they saw, The Sound of Freedom, and then it helps create this little platform where people slowly become, like, that's their reference point of what they know of human trafficking is because of that video, or they heard about it on a podcast or a YouTube video. And I truly enjoyed that because the message is getting out there more, and I love that the message is getting out there, and it's giving me more of a platform to talk to everyone else. But because of that movie, which is an amazing film, and I love watching it, even though it's very sad, I love to watch it because of that video, and which is based off a true story. A lot of people, it just cements the idea that people think it's a foreign issue, that it's a Spanish country issue, when mainly it's an American issue. Like, that's it. I hope they come out with another movie that talks about it in America, specifically like based off an American story here, but that's okay. Like, I would love another movie to come out. That would be freaking awesome. I would love that. Sign me up. I am not the best actor. I don't think I am, but I am willing to do anything to get this cause out there. Like, legit, I would do anything. I would do anything. You want me to hold water bottles? I'll hold freaking water bottles. You want me to position a camera? I'll position a camera. Like, I will do literally anything. I will do the marketing for free. Do the marketing for free. That'd be awesome, right? I would love that. I would love that. So anyways, I hope you guys truly enjoyed me going over these top 5 myths. Please comment down ideas that you want me to go over. I would legit love ideas. I have a whole list of ideas that I want to do, I want to cover, and I wish I had all the time in the world to just pop these videos out right and left, so you guys will know that, hey, she actually does have a lot of ideas and she's not just rambling all the time. I genuinely have lots and lots of ideas, and I genuinely want to pop out more videos like every single day, but I am a college student and my life gets really busy, and I bet if I just move things around, if I get better with my schedule, I can definitely pop these videos out every single day, and I'm trying. I truly am trying. But I truly appreciate people that are watching my videos, and even the few of you that do comment on these videos, and I'm hoping that I can get more into the true crime niche. I legit hope, and as you guys can see, I am working on the thumbnails. I am working on the thumbnails and making it more appealing to mass society, right? So I am trying, and I hope you guys do enjoy this video. Please like and subscribe. I would definitely appreciate that, so I can make, like, it's really sad to say, and I would do this without the money, and I have been doing this without the money, but if I have the money, then it would be really easy for me to just stop college and just popping out these videos all the time. I do graduate in 3 semesters, so like in a year, so maybe in the future I'll be able to just stop and just do this all the time, or take it slowly, because I've been like taking 16 plus credits every single semester since my freshman year, so that's why I'm graduating in 3 semesters as a 20-year-old. And yeah, when I say I have a full course, I legit have more than a full course, right? So I'm not just making college up as an excuse. I am genuinely really busy. But anyways, this is just me complaining. I do hope you guys are enjoying these videos. Please watch all of them. I promise that they are good. Some of them are, well, I'm just saying this as me as viewing them, that I could have done it better, but I am a high functioning perfectionist, right? So I'm sure they're not even that bad. But if you guys can't watch videos all the time, you can just look up the Speaking Out Loud podcast. It is on Spotify. You can listen to that while you're driving, while you're running, while you're doing other stuff, because you guys have busy lives too. So yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying this. You can also follow my TikTok, and I am getting better at posting videos more every single day. So yeah, have an awesome day. Love you guys. Goodbye.